had a chance to hang around Terence. I don't want to be biased. I don't want to sound like I'm hating or I'm mad at anyone. So when I say certain things, I'm not taking shots at no fighter. I'm just saying, speaking from the heart.
Terence Crawford against Floyd Mayweather at 47.
Floyd Mayweather's a GOAT. Oh, absolutely. But Terence Crawford will whoop his ass.
Boxing has to be the one sport where the chaos never ends once the fight is over. Crawford defeated Canelo, but instead of celebrating the victory, he turned his attention to Floyd and took a shot at him by saying he fights like a runner.
Feel like you could knock out Mayweather, what would be the outcome of that?
Man, listen, man. That's the GOAT. He one of the GOATs, man. Like, I have nothing but the utmost respect for Mayweather. You know, I would never compare myself to Mayweather.
Calling Floyd a runner at this point sounds like he needs a sprint sponsor. And whenever another fighter gets attention, he jumps back in reminding everyone of his glory days, like that uncle still bragging about old dance moves.
You could take a guy like Canelo, this guy could do, he can pick and choose who he want to fight. And I'm gonna tell y'all the truth about Canelo. Easy, man. Easy. Y'all sitting up here, y'all praising this dude was nothing.
Floyd's undefeated legacy will always deserve respect, but Crawford's sharp timing and switch hitting style could expose that shoulder roll fast. Bud breaks opponents down mentally and physically, like a puzzle nobody can figure out, and deep down, Floyd probably understands exactly that.
And let me tell you one more thing, man, Max. Seriously. If I could take a prime Terence Crawford, this is how much I believe in this kid, and a prime Floyd Mayweather, with all the tools that Terence Crawford has, I will pick Terence Crawford to beat a prime Mayweather any day.
Right when it seemed the tension was cooling off, Max Kellerman and Tim Bradley fired everything back up. Their debate over Mayweather against Crawford got intense, and Bradley confidently backed Bud over prime Floyd, saying it casually like it was the easiest choice possible.
Terence Crawford, I disagree with that because I think Floyd at his best. Because I think Floyd at his best was a better defensive fighter than Crawford. Crawford's a better offensive fighter, but in those kind of matchups, I think defense usually beats the offense.
I don't, because Terence Crawford got more to bring. He got more to bring to the table.
Max leaned on the classic idea that defense overcomes offense, but Crawford brings far more than attack alone. He's complete in every area. Comparing Bud to Floyd feels like testing a powerful machine against protection that eventually breaks down. And when someone as respected as Bradley confidently says Crawford cracks Floyd's style, people listen carefully.
They got the little shoulder roll, I get it, controls distance, but Terence Crawford is also a master at distance. Terence Crawford has punching power to hurt Floyd Mayweather. We saw that in the Sam Judah fight now.
Yeah, Shane too. Shane hurt him with the right hand.
Shane hurt him as well.
The crazy part is Bradley wasn't chasing attention with some reckless opinion. He genuinely believed Crawford has the tools to beat Floyd. Meanwhile, Max defended Mayweather's legacy with everything he had. That's what makes these conversations so entertaining, watching respected names passionately argue about greatness against greatness.
If Floyd fights Shane in his prime, do you think he fought him in his prime?
No.
Exactly.
And Zab wasn't quite a Shane level fighter. That's true. Listen, it'd be a great it'd be a great matchup, no doubt. What you said about the other fighters who are avoiding him, those fighters are with Heyman in the PBC. But when you listen, and obviously you're not in a rush to throw your guy in with Terence Crawford if you can make money other ways at 147.
Right after Max and Bradley kept the debate rolling, Shane Mosley added another twist by claiming Floyd's punches at 154 carried power similar to Canelo's. Floyd built his reputation on skill and precision, not knockouts, so that statement says plenty. Still, Crawford understands exactly what kind of challenge he'd be facing.
When I fought Floyd, his power was really good. His power was actually it was the same speed and power as Canelo when I fought Canelo 154. Floyd is strong and he has good power. Speed is deceptive,
Bud succeeds by applying smart pressure, constantly testing defenses until weaknesses appear. That's what makes this fantasy matchup so compelling. Floyd's shoulder roll was designed to frustrate opponents and destroy confidence, but Crawford keeps adapting no matter what happens. He changes angles, switches stances, and forces reactions. This battle goes beyond skill and strategy. It becomes discipline against determination, with one fighter defending perfection while the other chases the chance to shatter it.
But I still think Crawford, he's a type that he wants to get in there and try and knock you out. those guys are at the same age and say whatever. If Crawford did the same thing, you know, would that fight go to distance? That's a question we're gonna ask. Would it go to distance? Or would Crawford have stopped Floyd in that situation?
If that fight ever became reality, every movement and reaction would feel unforgettable. Mosley's comments already stirred the conversation. Then Jim Lampley stepped in with a deeper perspective about boxing's evolution. He made it clear this matchup belongs more in debates than reality. Still, discussions like this remain exciting because they challenge fans to choose between perfect defense and relentless adaptability inside the ring.
Mayweather's an all-time great. Terence Crawford, I think, will turn out to be an all-time great. So it's a very hard fight to pick, and I think it would depend on at what moment in Mayweather's career and at what moment in Crawford's career are we talking.
What makes Lampley's point so interesting is that he wasn't defending Floyd or pushing Crawford. He was explaining how fighters constantly transform through experience, momentum, trainers, and defining moments. You can debate Crawford's timing against Floyd's defense forever, but boxing never stays the same. Fighters keep developing beyond old expectations. That's why fantasy matchups are impossible to fully judge. Still, if Crawford ever started figuring out that shoulder roll with his switch-hitting attack, everyone watching would instantly react like something shocking just happened.
So, I wouldn't want to pick that fight until I saw at what moment in their careers such a thing would take place. It's always dangerous to pick utterly hypothetical fights that are never going to take place except somewhere in your.
Just as Lampley pushed the conversation into deeper boxing philosophy, Carmel Moughton shut it down with confidence, calling Floyd the undisputed GOAT without hesitation. Respect is clear for his flawless system and legendary defense, yet Crawford keeps pressing toward greatness, bringing unpredictable pressure, stance switching, and surgical breakdowns that challenge perfection itself.
Yeah, for sure. You know, of course, nobody will ever. I feel like Floyd will always be the greatest of all time. Things have to really line up just so perfectly to be able to do what Floyd did and be all those world champions back to back. So, you know, it's really hard to say that Floyd's not the greatest.
When Moughton calls Floyd untouchable, it carries weight, and it deserves respect. Still, there's always the thought of Crawford waiting in the background, wondering what happens if he cracks that shoulder roll in today's era. It fuels endless debate between fans. Beyond skill, it's mindset, Crawford's hunger against Floyd's legacy, where every punch feels like calculated chess mixed with explosive intent.
A lot of comparisons between Terence Crawford and Floyd Mayweather. We've even had the conversation to go as far as who would win in a fight between Terence and Floyd, and I truly don't know the answer to that question.
I do.
You do?
Yes.
Yeah. Who would win that fight?
Floyd.
Floyd would win that
yes,
fight.
Yes, sir. I
Floyd
love you, Terence.
Always figures it out.
Yeah, he's
a chess master.
Yeah, his IQ in that shit.
The funny thing about it is Terence has been the only other guy that people can say he always figures it out.
Just when the Floyd versus Crawford debate felt like it had settled into familiar territory, Greg Hackett reignited everything by claiming Bud is clearly better than Floyd. That's not something you ignore easily. His point wasn't about speed or defense alone, but timing, power, and control. Against Canelo, Crawford showed surgical precision, inviting attacks, countering sharply, and flipping momentum instantly. Floyd was elusive and brilliant, but Crawford made even elite exchanges look exploitable, which creates a very sharp, almost brutal comparison.
I got almost 70 fights in current time. With all those big camps he's been doing and all that, trust me, it's on wear and tear there. I'm not making excuses for Canelo. I'm just saying, I do give Bud his credit though for beating Canelo, and Canelo understands I am a better fighter today than I was back then. But that's hard to say because Floyd, you know what I'm saying? I feel like Bud took maybe 20% of what Floyd did and added that to his repertoire for this.
Hackett also makes a strong point about achievements, noting Crawford as a three-division undisputed champion collecting belts like pieces fitting perfectly together, while Floyd's legacy still looms over boxing. It's like comparing aged whiskey to rare bourbon, both elite but different in feel. Against Canelo, Crawford didn't just survive, he controlled exchanges, forced hesitation, and imposed his rhythm. Floyd had speed and aura, but Bud brings IQ, power, and fearless ambition that keeps fans debating history itself for years.
When Canelo fought Floyd, Canelo was in middle school. He wasn't even, you know what I'm saying? Floyd by that time was already a Harvard graduate, you know what I'm saying? With Crawford, I felt like he maybe was saying, damn, I could've, if I would've threw this, or if I would've did that. So, I don't know, man. That's a tough discussion, to be honest. But I like what Bud Crawford did last.
After Greg Hackett broke down Canelo's perspective, Eddie Hearn stepped in with a mix of promoter insight and fan honesty. He admitted he initially favored Canelo, but Crawford proved him wrong by controlling the fight and looking completely clinical. Hearn acknowledged how impressive Bud was on the big stage, finally matching expectations. However, he also warned that this new Crawford era means bigger demands, selective fights, and a champion who now chooses his moments carefully.
You know, it was an amazing performance by Terence Crawford. Yeah, I'm gutted for Canelo, but I'm actually pleased that Crawford is getting the opportunity to show how great he is, because his resume hasn't really allowed that. Don't get me wrong, he's got some good wins, but he could have beaten so many more of the elite guys from his era. And now that was a big win for him. I mean, he's 38 years old. And that, to do that at that stage was very, very...
Eddie then puts forward the matchup fans have been waiting for, Crawford versus Jaron Boots Ennis. He describes it as one of the best possible fights in American boxing, stressing that Boots is a real challenge, not just another name. This kind of fight could define Crawford's legacy or create a massive new storyline in the sport. Eddie also points out that big history often requires big rewards, making this clash highly desired, potentially explosive, and unforgettable for fans.
Terence Crawford against Jaron Ennis, for me, is the best fight in American boxing. But it needs to be a payday for Crawford that would get him interested, because Crawford knows how good Boots is. And I'm not saying that Crawford thinks he's going to lose to Boots, but he knows that is a real fight. But for me, Boots is the new Crawford.
In the end, Terence Crawford has clearly changed how boxing conversations are being framed. Floyd Mayweather's legacy remains unquestionable, but Crawford has introduced a new standard with his timing, intelligence, and adaptability. He didn't just get through Canelo, he controlled key moments and set a fresh benchmark for future matchups. Now fights like Crawford versus Jaron Ennis feel like defining tests that could shape his place in history, spark huge debates, and keep fans arguing for years.